let's talk about Season 3 of Titans. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Comic Book Nostalgia. I'm CB Nostalgia, and today we're going to talk about some theories and predictions for Season 3 of Titans. Now, we just finished up Season 2, and we had a lot happen this season. After rounding out basically the Season 1 cliffhanger, Season 2 saw the reformation of the team in a new location, San Francisco. We got the Titans Tower. We got a lot of new and eventually dead characters, Connor, Dr. Light, Garth, Deathstroke, Ravager, and Jericho, and tons of really interesting seeds set up for Season 3. Now, we also know that Season 3 is confirmed, and production should start early next year. There's also word that Season 3 will also debut on HBO Max, very similar to how Season 2 of Doom Patrol is, but there is no official confirmation of that yet. I actually suspect that will be true. It seems like there's going to be a lot of shared stuff between HBO Max and DCU, and maybe even the CW, so we'll have to wait and see. Quite honestly, the outcome of the Crisis event isn't clear yet, and it seems that maybe many of these universes will be mashed together, so who knows what the future holds there. Anyway, let's break down a couple of key plot points for Season 3, and where I think the show's going to head. Quite a few things have been seeded: Black Star, the death of Donna Troy, and Jason Todd, but I suspect there's other surprises on the horizon. Well, one character many people feel like may have been shortchanged here and there is Starfire, and I think that's finally going to be remedied in Season 3. It's pretty clear the primary plotline seeded for Season 3 is the Blackfire storyline. Now, we do know Damaris Lewis is cast as Blackfire, and she's been upgraded to a series regular. Now, the character herself actually appeared in New Teen Titans number 22 way back in 1982, and was created by Marv Wolfman and George Perez. Now, the conflict between Corey and Blackfire in the comics likely played out much differently than we're going to see on the show. I am very curious if we'll actually visit the Vega system in Season 3, but it seems very unlikely, and I'm not sure how they can do it with some of the budgetary constraints that are already in place. Even though most of this will probably play out on Earth, I suspect it will follow many beats of the classic storyline, and I do believe it will be the primary storyline for Season 3. Now, I'm not sure if we get more aliens or anything else in Season 3, but we'll have to wait and see. I do think the character has a lot of potential, and interestingly enough, if you're familiar with the character in the two animated series that the Titans did, she didn't get along very well with Deathstroke, which could prove interesting by the end of Season 3. But we'll talk about Deathstroke a little bit in a few minutes. One of the other major plot points of Season 3, I believe, will be the return of Donna Troy, or, as she's called at this point in the comics, Troya. Now, many fans were really upset about her death on the show, and I have to admit, it did seem a little weak, and contrived, and convenient for a character of that power set, and with all the other heroes, such as Connor, in the general vicinity. But I think this was going to happen no matter what. It actually has happened in the comics a couple of times. Now, ironically, in the comics, originally, her death was built around the Crisis on Infinite Earth series, and there's some big cosmic and multiverse-oriented details about her character in the comics that I don't think is going to make it over to the show. But recently, she died in the Graduation Day event in Titans Young Justice crossover number 3, and was actually killed by a robot Superman gone rogue. Now, we already know this is not how she died on the show, but she does return in the comics, and I do think that's what's going to happen here. This is where Rachel comes in. Now, it was pretty clear Rachel's storyline with Trigon is far from done, and with her heading back to Themyscira to get better hold of her powers and explore what she can do with them, I can't help but harken back to that point, I believe, in Season 1 when she raised the dead deer when she was with Gar. We know she has this ability, so I actually really do think we're going to see the return of Donna Troy in Season 3. Now, when it happens is up in the air. From a storytelling perspective, I do suspect it won't be until the end of the season, but we'll have to wait and see. One of the other fan favorites of the show is Kern Walter's Jason Todd. For being the jerk Robin, he really is loved by pretty much everyone. Now, if you're familiar with the character in the comics, you know he wasn't Robin very long, and actually had very, very limited time interacting with the Titans. Now, he drove off at the end of Season 2 like he was doing his own thing, and was probably going to team up with Batman, so there is a big part of me that wonders if we will hear about an off-screen death. He was actually killed in the Death of the Family series in Batman 426 to 429, he actually died in 428, way back in 1988, and this was the classic scenario where the fans had to decide Jason's death. And this leads to a rumor that I'm hearing and getting confirmed pretty consistently, that the Red Hood is going to get a 2021 spin-off show. This would also indicate the death and return of Jason Todd during Season 3. I find that pretty interesting. Now, Jason Todd as the Red Hood is one of DC's most popular anti-heroes and characters overall. Nobody really thought they could pull off bringing Jason Todd back from the dead, and it worked out pretty good. As I said, they may very well go with an off-screen death and then just inform the team, but it's also just as likely they go a completely different direction and make the kidnapping and death of Jason one of the focal story points for the season, then having him resurrected in the new show. A Red Hood series would really be a fan pleaser and something I could totally see on HBO Max. This would allow them to push it a little farther up into the R rating, make it more violent, and maybe tell some stories that wouldn't really work on a service that's a little more geared towards a younger audience. I know we had the whole F Batman thing during season 1, but obviously some of that's been toned back, well, maybe a little bit. Now, one of the other aspects of the show are villains, and I think one of the villains that may come back could be Lex Luthor. We've got a long history between Lex Luthor and Connor Kent, even if you're not familiar with him from the comics, but are familiar with the Young Justice cartoon series, which is a kind of abbreviated version of that storyline. Lex has got this innate ability to manipulate Connor. This does lead to something else that had me thinking though. In the comics, there have been a couple teams set up that oppose the Titans, and I could totally see Lex Luthor doing this. There's one point, Titans East was actually set up by Deathstroke to oppose the Titans, and a variation of that could very well be possible. Another one, and this is another rumor that I'm actually hearing, is we'll actually get a different villain team, the Fearsome Five. Now in the comics, the original Fearsome Five included Dr. Light, but also had Gizmo, Shimmer, which we got in season 1, Mammoth, Psyman, Jinx, and Neutron. We've had several other variations of the team, most of which include Shimmer, Psyman, and Mammoth, so I suspect at least those 3 people will be on the team. The Fearsome Five actually made their first appearance in New Teen Titans number 3 way back in 1981 and were also created by Wolfman and Perez. I think by season 3, a team of villains is pretty much overdue, and fans really want to see comic book-esque matchups, and I think this would give it to them. Like I said, this is one of those rumors that I'm hearing and being confirmed by Lance Osfesser over on the Titans group over on Facebook, which, if you want some pretty solid Titans rumors, I'd head over there and check them out. They're totally worth it. I'll put a link in the description below. Also, let's not forget about Isaiah Morales' Deathstroke. He did a great job during the last season, and I really don't think he's dead. Well, he's comic book dead right now, which means not dead forever. If you read the comics, you know Deathstroke has found a way to come back on more than one occasion, and I don't think we've seen the last of this character. We'll have to wait and see what season 3 brings us. If he does make an appearance, I don't suspect it'll be until the very end of the season, and probably a teaser for season 4. We'll have to wait and see. One of the other things we all love is new characters, and this season we got, and well, we lost quite a few. We got Garth, Jericho, Ravager, Deathstroke, and Superboy. Oh, and let's not forget Crypto. And if you're familiar with the Titans in the comics, there are a lot of Titans. Like members of the Justice League, the team has always been growing, always rotating, and always adding and removing new members. I mean, consider this. Look at this image. How many unused and available or variations of characters are available in this image alone? So there's plenty of new characters that could join the team. So what do we think is going to happen next season? Well, outside of some of the returning characters from this season we didn't see a lot of, like Ravager and maybe even Cello Man's Jericho appearing in some form or another, I do suspect we'll get a couple of new characters again. Now, there's some rumors out there, and one of the people who work on the show, Lennar Stovall, actually made an Instagram post, but it was deleted, that highlighted what could be teased as potentially new characters. Now, this was not validated, and I have been told that this was really more fan-made, but it's kind of hard to tell. But he does make some really good points here. Check it out. So you see Roy Harper, Bumblebee, Wally West, Miss Martian, and Blue Beetle. Now, all these characters fit really well, and any of them could be added to the team at any time. Personally, I don't want to see Miss Martian or Blue Beetle done until we get a really good version of Gar done on screen. All those power sets involve a lot of CGI, and if we're going to focus our CGI budget on any character, let's focus it on Gar, who hasn't really gotten his time yet. I would, though, really like to see Bumblebee, Wally West, or Roy Harper added to the show. They've given no indication about any of those characters being on the previous team, but we did have some empty costume areas, leaving a little bit of flexibility for writers to add them in later on. Now, this is obviously not everything that's going to happen in Season 3, and these are just my predictions, none of it's official. But I do think a couple other minor details will happen next year. I'm unsure if Gar is going to get an expanded storyline, but I mean, We need an expansion of Gar's power set, and I'm pretty sure the production people are listening. This season's Cadmus storyline kind of set that up pretty good, and will give a great reason for him to all of a sudden have the ability to turn into other animals, which is what the fans want to see. I also think we're going to see a lot of the Hawk and Dove drama. This is going to be the relationship portion of the show, and I think we're going to see them find a way to grow back together. Now, does this mean 12 episodes of difficulty? Probably. There's also a rumor mill that they may also get their own spin-off show. It's too early to tell, and I don't think that's as likely as a Red Hood show considering how well received Colonel Walters has been, but it is still a possibility. I also think we get a little bit of expansion on Crypto, because, people love dogs, and dogs steal the show. Crypto was great this season. I really enjoyed Crypto, and I don't think we've seen the last of him. I just don't want him overused, because CGI is tough with animals, and it's hard to really get it right on the budget that they have. That's pretty much all we have for Season 3 of Titans. There's going to be a lot going on, and like I said, this is all just speculation by me. I am curious on what you guys think, and more importantly, what you want to see added to Season 3. What was missing from Season 2 for you? I think Season 2 was an improvement, but obviously, there's more they can do, focus on, and be a little more engaged with. Sound off in the comments below. If you like this video, make sure you press like, click subscribe, and if you don't ring that bell, you won't get any updates. Peace.